Hello everyone, my name is Shazib and I run a digital agency. I've been running it actually for the past 4 years. It's a visual design agency and we help e-commerce sellers, specifically Amazon sellers, to design well-converting images for their storefronts, for their Amazon listing pages, for their websites. So today I wanted to talk a bit about my experience running this agency and the things that I've learned working with Amazon sellers in the past 4 years. It's just sort of like a one-on-one conversation about important things I learned about it, because Amazon seems to be a very promising business for a lot of people, and it's actually a very attractive business for a lot of newcomers who want to start their business. They think of Amazon as a side hustle from which they could earn maybe like $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 a month when Amazon is handling everything. And once you are set up, people think it's a business that could just run on its own. So here are a few things that I've learned. So I'll start with a few cons, not exactly cons, but the challenges of running an Amazon business. And then eventually we'll talk about what we need to do in order to be successful. So I've worked with around 200 or more sellers in the past 4 years. I've helped them make their listings stand out so that they can convert better, they can get more sales from the same number of clicks and impressions that they have. And one thing that I've learned interacting with all these sellers is that Amazon is a very high risk business. It's a high risk, high reward business. That's how I would put it. The overall business model, it is very challenging and it is very demanding. So it demands a lot of you. It demands your time, your energy, and especially your money. It is not a business that you would invest $2,000 in and it would start paying you back after the next month. It needs quite a bit of money, and a lot of people don't realize that how cash heavy Amazon business actually is. Think of it as the same way as you would for any other retail business. So if you were to launch a product to sell on Walmart, let's say, or to sell on Target, or to sell on Real Canadian, you would need a lot of stock, you would need a lot of cash, you would need a lot of money for branding, for packaging, for the logistics, for the supply chain. Today, everything applies the same for Amazon as well. It is not just a small little online business. It is a very cash heavy business and it demands a lot from you. So if you have some savings and they are the only savings you have, it would be highly risky to invest all that money into Amazon. So that's number one. And another thing that I've learned is that the profits, and I think this would apply to all the retail businesses, but especially for e-commerce and especially for Amazon, the competition is always rising. So the profit margins are always shrinking. And there's not much you could do about it because a lot of things are not in your own control. So for example, once the competition rises, you have to eventually lower your margins to be able to compete. And there are some models where you could maybe sell at a premium, and we would discuss about that maybe later on in some other videos. But like most of the times, the profits are shrinking and you have to be constantly you have to be constantly working towards making the cost of your products and your business low and lower so that you could survive. Like a lot of the Amazon sellers are always on survival mode, and that puts a lot of pressure on you as a business person. So that's one thing. Another thing, if we talk about pressure, another thing that we have to always work on is the supply chain. So as we know, the world today is not very reliable. Like a lot of things are happening in the world right now. So the supply chain, the logistics, they are always a challenge. And when it comes to Amazon, you have to be always one step ahead. You cannot risk a 2-day delay with the shipping. You cannot risk at times even a 1-day delay, because that could eventually put you in a very bad shape and put you in a space where your entire Amazon business model could eventually collapse just because of missing 1-day deadline. So that's another pressure that you have to take, and you always have to keep on working towards improving your product. So if you have a product today and if it's doing well, you're getting good reviews, competition is gonna come in and it's gonna bring something better. You have to then improve your product to make it even better, and the cycle continues. And it's a very fast-paced industry. It's not like you have a great product and you could just sit on it for 2-3 years. Every quarter, every 6 months, you have to keep on making things new and better in order to survive. And you would see that happening in almost the entire tech industry. Apple is launching new products every year because the competition is so high and things are improving and things are emerging so fast that even brands like Apple have to constantly improve year after year. I think the era has passed where a product could run well for like 3 years. Now the industry is very fast paced. So even if you're selling like a pen on Amazon, you have to constantly improve. And that puts a lot of pressure. That needs a lot of research, that needs a lot of marketing, that needs a lot of investment, cash investment as well. Another thing is, when you see a lot of videos about Amazon businesses and when you see success stories and when people post videos about how you could make 10,000 a month from Amazon in 30 days or starting today, one thing you need to realize is that there are more people losing money on Amazon than there are people making money out of Amazon. And the ratio is pretty stark. One thing I've learned working with a lot of Amazon sellers in the past 4 years is that just a handful of sellers would make money on Amazon, and the rest are just gonna lose a lot of money. And there comes a time when you lose all the stock and you lose all of the money as well. So that's all the challenges of Amazon. There are more, but these are like the top few challenges that I would recommend for people to consider before starting an Amazon business. Now, if we talk about what you need to do or what you need to be in order to be successful, there are quite a few things. First of all, you need to be a highly, and I say highly motivated person. Like, you should have full motivation, maybe like 200% motivation to start a business on Amazon. And there are a few reasons for it. For example, you have to go without any profits and you have to actually accumulate losses for a certain number of months, and that could transfer into years as well. If you're not motivated, if you're losing money for 3 months, you're just going to end up closing down the business. As simple as that. But if you're highly motivated and you're determined that you're going to make it work, then you eventually will be able to absorb all the losses. Not to mention that you need to have a lot of extra cash in hand as well. And another thing is, don't expect any paychecks, and you should have something bringing in money that can support you in day-to-day living expenses while you start Amazon. If you are not earning anything else, I would not recommend you start Amazon right away, because it's going to eat in all the cash that you have and you will be in survival mode. You will be in crisis very soon. Another reason you need to be extremely motivated is because Amazon is going to eat up a lot of your energy and time. You have to work overtime all the time. You have to work on the weekends. You have to do multiple jobs at once. You have to handle the marketing. You have to handle the paid advertisements. You have to handle the creatives. You have to handle the sales. You have to handle the conversion rates. you have to handle the supply chain, so on and so forth. So expect to work a lot without getting paid for a few months at least, to the very least. And other thing I've seen in successful Amazon sellers is that they're extremely picky and they're extremely detail oriented. And I think that is one quality that Amazon sellers have. For a product to work on Amazon, you have to have every percent, every inch, every centimeter of the product for the business model worked out. If you miss even a tiny bit of something here and there, or if you don't think through a certain thing about your Amazon model, it's going to cost you and it's going to lead you towards failure. I would give you some examples. For example, once you're producing the text for your title and for your product description for the Amazon landing page, you have to think through each and every word, each and every letter you put into the title. And a single change in word could make or break your business. So that's how important orientation to detail is. You have to be 100% there. You cannot be 99% there. Another example would be of pictures. For example, if you're working on the main image, that's the image that people see when they search for something and the search results appear with all these different products. You have to make sure you're thinking through each and every corner of the main image, each and every pixel, each and every box. And you have to think through everything, like from lighting, from shadows, and you have to think how this would be perceived by someone who's on a budget. You'd have to think about how it's gonna be perceived from people who really want a quality product. You have to think about what people are gonna think about our product looking at this image at this price point versus what they see on the left and what they see on the right and on the top and on the bottom. So a lot of thought needs to go into it. And if you're working 9 to 5 or if you have a full-time job or a full-time gig, it can get very challenging very fast. Another quality that Amazon sellers have, this is something that I lack, to be honest, is that you need to be a numbers person. You have to be really good at numbers, and you have to know all your numbers on your palm, in your head all the time. Because if you don't know your numbers, you don't know if you're making money. You'd eventually know that you're making a profit or loss later on, but if you don't know it every day, or I would, for a few people, even every hour, if you don't know the profits or the losses or the revenues every hour, you're going to be in a lot of trouble. So that's another thing to keep in mind. You have to be sharp with numbers. You have to make sure you're always thinking the numbers through and that you're always tracking the numbers. It's not just about the money, dollars or the cents. You also have to think through the numbers in terms of shipping times from China, or the number of products you need in stock every day, or how many days it's gonna take for the new stock to come in before the existing one sells out. How many reviews are you getting every day? How many 5-star reviews you get on average a day or average a week? And how many 1-star reviews could you potentially absorb into your product listing? So these are all the things you need to know about your Amazon business and your Amazon products. So I'll just summarize everything we talked about. We talked about the challenges of starting an Amazon business, and then the qualities one needs to have to be successful on Amazon. This video is not supposed to demotivate you. It's not supposed to tell you that it's not doable. It's certainly doable, but I think there's a lot of content online where people make it seem like it's very easy to make money on Amazon, while it's not. I think making money is never easy. It's always a lot of hard work. It's a lot of sweat and pain. If I have to give one reason why you should start a business on Amazon, is that you could get rich very quickly if you do everything right, and if you have a good product, and if you have everything figured out. I think this is one business where you could really rack up the numbers very quickly and become rich and become someone you aspire to be in terms of your finances. The last thing is that moment of success may or may not come. So you have to keep that in mind. It's a long shot, and if you're getting into the business to make some short-term profits, then expect to lose money, but expect to gain a lot of experience and learning. And if you're someone who does not know about Amazon much, I would recommend that you start selling from smaller places like maybe the Facebook Marketplace or eBay or other small websites. Learn the consumer market, learn about your potential target audience, learn what they prefer to have in a product, and from these smaller marketplaces, try to make a perfect product, try to solve a problem. And once your product is ready, and once you are ready, you could slowly start towards building your product, building your business on Amazon.